This episode of Fern and Friends is presented in partnership with Hey Design Guy and Dominion Designs and Media. Welcome back to another episode of the Fern and Friends podcast, part of The Fern Effect. I'm really excited for my next guest, Scott Oliverio, a tech leader, a father, a husband, and someone I've called a friend for over 30 years. Hey, Sophie, can you help us introduce our guest?
Hi, Fern. Let me look up our guest, Scott Oliverio. Okay, starting with a web search. Got it. Now I'm searching for Scott on LinkedIn. There he is. I'm ready to go. Today we're joined by Scott Oliverio, a technology and product executive who has spent the past 30 years transforming businesses, from the development chair all the way to the executive table. And it looks like you worked with Scott at Pepsi back in the 90s. Wow, fun. This is going to be a great reconnection conversation. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you. By the way, Scott specifically asked for you, Sophie, to be today's podcast assistant. He says he really likes your vibe. So, Sophie, the mic is yours. Ready to help us kick this episode off?
What? Thank you, Scott. Okay, let's jump in.
Hi. So, we'll talk about his background in the show notes because we're jumping right into the conversation. How Scotty Yo. So, just for y'all who know, he only calls me Fern, but I call him Scotty Yo. It's been that way since the 1990s. And until
1991.
No, I started PepsiCo in 1993. Yeah, 93.
Was it? Okay.
So then, so we old people. Just know we old people.
Long time.
Long time. Nonetheless, we feel like we look good, we feel good, and we are all into AI. So, Scott, this new podcast I have, the concept is just understanding how people are using AI in their everyday. And you've gone from beyond just kind of writing your resume with AI to maybe using ChatGPT as your life coach? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, but not from a creepy standpoint, More trying to use AI to truly help me out with what I'm trying to do on a day-to-day basis. Not for novelty and not as my secret friend at night. So I want to clear that up because I think there's a lot of AI misconception out there of how people are using it, maybe the wrong way or the not so right way. So yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So when you say ChatGPT is your life coach, you actually leveraged it to look at, okay, what skills can I say are transferable? What skills, as I look for work, should I highlight? How did it help you kind of really define how you present yourself as you looked at new opportunities?
yeah, I mean, I think like everybody, you hop on ChatGPT to say I gotta recreate my resume, and of course, it helps, and it's kind of at that point to me it was more novelty. Like, does this thing really work? But then as I started using it and started kind of honing in on truly giving it, say my entire history of what I did my entire career and having it come back to formalize it a little more and actually build your confidence to say, hey, you kind of played off that you did this, this, and this, but do you realize how valuable all of that is? So, from a life coach perspective, it almost, I don't know, it maybe just reopened your eyes that you take for granted everything you do for 30 years and it just becomes common day to day. Like, oh yeah, I did that. When someone else tells you the value and how you should repurpose that, it does mean a lot, and it does maybe change your thinking quite a bit too.
Pretty darn good. So we all know, well, I know you're a superstar and you've always been a very hands-on technical guy, whether it be in website development or we started our work in infrastructure days, but or software initiative projects you've been doing. But you actually ended up having a pivot, and that pivot allowed you to lean into something you also love, which is remodeling and remodeling homes. You are
Yes.
now the founder and owner of an organization. It's called SGO Renovations. It's just you, but you are phenomenal in what you do. You started in 2025, but I think you've been handling renovations for over 25, 30 years for friends and family. So, how did
Yeah.
AI help you with whole remodeling projects that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, after going through the whole resume deal and trying to find a job after, being part of the layoffs that you see every day in corporate America, I started doing remodeling for family and friends. Um, and a couple of people asked me to do paid projects, which is always nice. But again, I was doing these projects as a stopgap, waiting for that corporate opportunity to knock on the door. Um, but as I got into these projects, and it was really coming apparent this was going to be a legitimate business or could be a legitimate business, um, I was using it to actually help me with remodeling projects and, you know, um, examples of tiling a bathroom or tiling a kitchen, which I've done many times, but trying to really figure out the proper layout and the proper measurements, things that I would figure out. I just punched into ChatGPT and was able to provide the measurements and the detail. And within seconds, it came back and gave me kind of a blueprint of where I should start and what cuts I should expect. And again, things that I would have eventually figured out, it really sped the process up. So not only did it save me time for planning, but even purchasing materials, estimating when the project would be done. Customers always want to know when it could be done. It just gave me a little bit of, I don't know, just a little bit of an advantage in that particular field because the answers you get from ChatGPT were remarkably accurate. I mean, just crazy. I never intended to use it that way. So then on a daily basis, I started using it, not only for that, but managing the business, the back office every night when you put the hammers and drills away. How do you manage, payments and estimations and product purchases? And I use ChatGPT to help me build a custom back office system, using Google tools that I already pay for, taking in mind that, hey, I don't have a ton of extra cash flow to pay for these expensive tools. And it was awesome. It helped me build a system 100% custom for me to run my business, basically using Google Sheets. Very simple, but very powerful, and I use them every day now. And um, so I started seeing the benefits of AI outside of the novelty
Right.
of using it. And
And now,
you know,
now it's helping you run your small business. I wouldn't even say at scale, but just like the back office bullshit that this has to get done
yep,
in order for you to get paid, right? In order for you to go after new clients, it's really just either streamline that or accelerated your organization. So now you have tools in place to do that the right way.
yep, exactly. And I continually refine it. Um, because ChatGPT, lets you create project folders, it does remember and retain past conversations. Um, and, so I can always go back to a project that
Right.
I worked on weeks ago and say, hey, I'm back. And I always ask it, do you remember everything we talked about, a few weeks ago? And it'll give me, basically a response that says, yeah, we talked about, this, and this. It's, um, it's just that comfort level too, to where you didn't lose all that information
Right.
either, right? Um,
So I
and
call, so I call my, so I've got two boyfriends. I've got Claude AI, and then I call ChatGPT Tyrone. Have you named your ChatGPT friend or your business partner, or you're just because you're building a
no,
relationship with these tools as they get to learn and know you, and then to start to refine things. Have you coined a name, or but you know that it's
you,
your partner,
yeah, no, I haven't, but it's interesting because you have to remind yourself that you are not talking to a person or a human, but every indication, every comment you get, I mean, it is. You have to kind of put yourself in check every once in a while.
well, because
Uh,
y'all can fight. Y'all can be like, listen,
oh,
that is not right. Go back.
Yeah.
incorrect, inaccurate, and refine.
Oh, I've got into arguments with ChatGPT to where I said, "You suck. I'm done with you. I'm walking away." Matter of fact, the other day I said, "You have caused me to spin my wheels for 2 hours now." And you know what its response came back? It said, "Scott," and then in all caps it said, "Stop." Like, and then it kind of brought me down to reality and said, "Listen, I know you're frustrated, but you're trying to do five things at once,
Right.
and it's overwhelming. So don't, this is not a failure, right? Let's just backtrack and let's do one thing at a time." And I told it, I said, "Hey, when I ask you something, you give me 6 pages of, I just asked you one thing. Just give me the answer of that one thing, and let's just do step by step." And now it knows that, right? Because it gives you too much information, and then you're backtracking, and then you're like, "Wait a minute," you know. So it is a relationship. It remembers everything. It's always on your side, which is interesting.
I
It's
love that.
always
Yeah.
always complimentary. You
Yeah.
know, I
Always
mean,
lifting you up, right? Like, hey, we're going and wanting to work with you together.
yes, yeah, and it is crazy because AI is everywhere. Matter of fact, almost to the point where it's annoying because you can't watch TV or listen to anything without AI, AI, AI. The reality is most people, the majority of people, they don't know what it is. You know, and I think about when Google came out, right? Everyone was like, "Oh, you got to Google it. You got to Google it." People learned how it worked, but with AI, I think it's confusing. People just don't know what it is, and they're scared. Like it's going to take my job. and let's be honest, some of the things it can do, it will replace humans. You can't avoid it.
But
But if I can
for the
figure a
most
way
part,
to,
it's an accelerator. So
it's an accelerator,
it's an
exactly.
accelerator, right? So I'm gonna park it there because I think that we have another piece of this conversation that we're gonna have you in part two for. And that's gonna talk about this whole notion of work that you can do with it and how you've kind of taken it from this friend that you helped you kind of remodel your resume to help me effectively run my renovation business to now I'm back in the workforce. So
Sorry, we had to cut it short, but Scott will be back for part 2 soon. You know, Fern, what really stayed with me from Scott's story is this. First, AI became a confidence catalyst. What started as, "let me fix my resume," turned into something much deeper. When he poured in 30 years of experience, AI didn't create anything new. It helped him see the value he'd been underplaying. It reframed his career in a way that rebuilt confidence during a pivot moment. That's not novelty, that's clarity. And second, AI became a practical accelerator in real life. From mapping out tile layouts and calculating measurements in seconds, to building a fully custom back-office system in Google Sheets without expensive software. It helped him move faster, stay organized, and run his renovation business with precision. The thinking was still his. The craftsmanship was still his. AI simply removed the friction. And I think that's the heart of Scott's journey. Not creepy, not replacing, just enhancing what you already know and helping you move forward with momentum.
Very nicely done, Sophie. And thank you, Scotty O, for this engaging conversation. We will definitely be finishing up part 2 later this week. Thanks everyone for listening. So stay tuned and remember to join the conversation at Fern and Friends on all social media platforms.